Yo, yo, what's up, y'all? It's your boy X. So listen, you're in barber college or you're about to graduate barber college. You're thinking about, what do I want to do? Do I want to get into a barber shop or do I want to get into a suite? Look, it's mainly dependent on how you are as an individual. But for somebody straight out of barber college, I'm assuming you have no clientele. But hey, let's say you're one of these unicorns, right? And you guys have a whole clientele, and I've been doing this for a while. Because me specifically, when I was in barber college, I was already working in barber shops. I was already in the shop. I'll leave barber college and then go to the shop to cut hair for the rest of the day, 7 days a week, while paying 175, while going to school 5 days a week. I'm one of those. I'm built different. This is how God made me. It's in me, not on me. So maybe you're like me. You dig? Maybe we're both on that same page, and you're trying to you're getting to it. But I'm not saying I was a booked out barber when I was in barber college. That's for sure not. I had the work ethic, but I did not have a book schedule. Definitely did not. Right. So for me, I like the barbershop. And personally, even now, I like the barbershop. I know I sound like a hypocrite. If me personally, I like the barbershop. I like the barbershop vibe. I like coming to the shop, chilling with the guys, cracking jokes, playing 2K, playing Madden. I love the barbershop vibe. That's what made me fall in love with barbering was the shop vibe. Just being around guys, talking, about, stuff that's going on and music or sports or like everything, music, everything, y'all. Like, I just love the barbershop environment, and I sound like a hypocrite because I'm in a suite, but a lot of people don't know this. My suite is attached to the barbershop that I own, you know, but because I have separate areas, so I was able to do that. Also, I decided to come into the suite because it was more revenue and a better business plan for me because I was able to open up more stations in the front of my shop, So my suite is actually located in the back of my shop, you know. But let's say I didn't have this extra room. Let's say I just had the shop. I would still pick the shop. Let's say I didn't own the shop. I would still pick the shop. Of course, pick and choose what shop I go to because that's a main factor. I feel like that's what makes a lot of guys switch over to the whole sweet thing because they go to so many bad shops and they think that every shop is like that. And it's not. You know, just find your people, find your clan, bro. Like for real, find your habitat. And that'll change your whole narrative as far as, wanting a suite. Okay. So that's one reason. Those are reasons why I would say staying in the shop is the best, especially for me, because I just like the environment. I like the walk-ins. I like meeting new people. All that. You feel me? I like the conversation. All that, right? And in the suite, it's kind of minimal because it's just you and your client. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that because again, I'm in the suite. But at the end of the day, if I walk out this door right here and make a left, my shop is right there. You feel me? So it's different. It's a whole different thing as far as with me. But when you are in the suite, you have that time with your client, all that stuff, and you guys could talk privately and everything. And if you have, you do like units and certain things, like certain services that are, you think are better done private, then okay, maybe the suite's for you. Or if you have a set clientele and you're booked out, then the suite is for you. Or if you're not really a big people person, the only people person you want to be, entertaining for is your client, then maybe a suite is for you. I'm not saying you have to not like people. I'm not saying that you don't like people because you have a suite. I'm just saying if you feel like you like more closed, private, one-on-one settings, then the suite is for you. You know, me personally, like I said, I like the shop environment. If I didn't have this extra room and if it wasn't a smarter idea, financially for me to move back here, then cool. I would be in the front. But, I have a pretty good clientele. I'm not as booked as I want to be, don't get me wrong. I have a certain goal and a certain criteria for myself that I want to achieve and I will achieve. But I have enough clientele to where I don't need to be in the front all day. I'd rather my guys get the walk-ins. I'd rather my guys get that, because I got barbers here who don't have a set clientele and they're building, so it's a building process, But again, just really think about what type of person you are. You know, do you or how much clientele do you have? Because what you have to understand too is that when you have a suite situation, you don't get walk-ins. That's not a thing. It's really set on your clientele. So can you afford that suite every week or every month, however they do it? Can you afford that by yourself? This is also another tip I'm gonna add to this, even as far as owning a barbershop. Because when you own a suite, that's technically you owning a barbershop, right? And of course, there's not as much overhead as it is owning a real barbershop, because you don't have to worry about all the extra things for everybody else besides you and your clients. I have to buy stuff for me, my clients, and all the guys. Toilet paper, cleaning supplies, mops, brooms, everything. Anything breaks, I fix it. Any chair messes up, I gotta fix it. So that's a whole different ball game. When it's just a suite, it's just you. Okay. But when I was saying as far as adding a tip is because if you can't afford to open up a real barbershop like other barbers, and you can't afford the bills by yourself, do not open up that barbershop. You got to be able to at least be able to pay every month's rent and have something backed up just in case, because you never know. You might have a full set of barbers for 2 months, and I don't know where these guys all leave you, and you were so desperate for that booth rent or that commission, and now they're gone, and now look at you, you're stuck. So that's just a little tip for you guys as far as if you're thinking about opening up an actual barbershop. No shade to the suites, but a suite is technically a barbershop, but it's not. It's technically a barbershop because it's a business. Don't get me wrong, it is a business, but it's not an actual barbershop. It is a suite. A barbershop is with other barbers. It's a culture. We can't try to put the culture of a barbershop into a suite. That's disrespectful to a barbershop. A suite has its own culture. A barbershop has its own culture. If I were to break it down to you, I believe, of course, the owner and the barbers in the shop create the barbershop culture. In a suite, only that one barber really creates that culture. Because the client is gonna decide if they want to deal with this culture or not, whether it's with you or at a barbershop with other barbers. Because when you have, that's why I said, like, if you're in the shop, you want to be around cool guys, cool barbers, because if your client comes in and they don't like the barbers you work with, they might not come back to you just because of that, bro. That hasn't happened to me, but who knows? You never know. They might not want to come back to you just because the guy that you cut up next to you is always talking vulgar or disrespecting women or disrespecting, whatever it is, right? They might not want to deal with that. Or let's say you're in a suite and you have a certain decay and they don't like it. They might not come to you. Or maybe they're just bored. Maybe they want to be around other individuals. Maybe they like the barbershop talk. So it's like, everything has its own set clientele, because you'll have clients who like the suite. They like to be private. I got clients that love that I got my own suite. They're like, cool, it's private, all that. They didn't have a problem with the shop because I control that setting. As the owner, I have control. The barbers create the culture, but I control the culture. You feel me? Like, we all create it together, but I control it. Because if I feel like you're doing something to ruin the culture in the shop, you will be asked to leave. Because I'm one of them people where I don't need a barber in my shop. And all my guys know that. And I love every single one of my barbers. But my barbers know and respect that I don't need any of them for their booth rent. I'm here to build a culture, and I'm here to build something that's deeper than just you paying me and me just taking care of the bills and just making money. It's deeper than that, you know? So again, you guys just think about, what is best for you, what fits your personality, and also what fits your budget. Because you got to think about it. You're paying booth rent. The average booth rent, at least in Chicago, is about 150 to 175 a week, right? That's when you also taking care of walk-ins. Let's say you have the same thing with a suite. Okay, now if you have set clientele, you should have no problem paying that 175 for that suite. But what if you don't? Now you're still stuck paying this. Yeah, if you have a suite, there's no, going to try to talk to the barbershop owner or anything like that. Even though technically when you work at a shop, you guys, unless you're doing commission. Now, if you're doing commission, it's a whole different story. But if you're paying booth rent, technically the shop owner does not have any responsibility as far as you getting booked out. Me, I'm different. I claim I take responsibility for that. I want my guys to be booked. I want my guys to be cutting. So I do everything in my power as far as marketing to get people in here. But if you don't have that owner that's marketing, you have this suite, you're in charge of your marketing. You still have to pay that rent at the end of the week or at the end of the month. Whoever owns that suite space, event space, or whatever it is that you're in, right? You still have to pay. And you don't have the walk-ins. You don't have that. Everything is nearly you doing word of mouth, passing out your cards, social media. You have to, it's a whole different ball game. You know, if I'm being honest with you, my guys here are spoiled. And I would say that to their faces. If they're watching this video, hey, Lala, Alex, uh, Tavion, David, Ron, he's already been booked, but Ron takes walk-ins too. You guys are all spoiled because I do everything I can to make sure you guys have clients. I do everything I can to bring people in here and market not just me in the shop, but also you guys. And I'm not saying that to throw any shade. I feel like all barbershop owners should be like that. In all honesty, we all should be like that. We should want like my thing is everybody eats. So if you guys are in a shop where you have an owner like that, maybe think about not leaving, you know? Because at the end of the day, if you guys want the whole, unless you guys want the private setting, that's the main reason why I feel like somebody should want to go into a suite, is if they want that private setting, this them and their client, you know? But also don't be upset if you guys lose clients for that. Because I know people like the shop vibe. People like to go and interact with other people, and talk the shit, as we say, you know. But yeah, you guys, I hope this video helped. Again, it's not, I don't feel like it's crazy educational. It's really more like on advice. But if you learned something, great. I'm hoping you did. And if you did learn something, leave me a like, subscribe, you guys, if you haven't already. You know, this page is mainly, self-improvement as far as business, and motivation, and also a lot of barber content. So, but also if you're not a barber, you still could learn off this content. But I am a barber at heart. I love what I do. I am a businessman before anything, but I'm a barber at heart. Understand me? If you don't understand, you don't understand, then it's cool. But I definitely drop a lot of barber content because this is what I do on a day-to-day basis. It's what I love to do on a day-to-day basis. So if you love barbering, leave me a subscribe. If this video helped you at all, leave me a subscribe. If you guys have any type of questions or any video topics you guys want me to drop, comment in the comment section. I will reply to you guys. I am not Hollywood. I appreciate everybody that watches my videos. If you made it to this video, if you made it as far to this point in the video, I appreciate you. Love and gratitude. And until next time, all y'all. FVO. Let's go.